Today what I am planning to start, today we will see how to basically set up ether channel between Palo Alto Firewall and any kind of layer 2 switch or layer 3 switch, right? These switch may be from Cisco, from Arista, from Juniper, but in my case, I will use Cisco switch here. Okay. So we will see the ether channel, then I will go for the backup and restore. How we can take the backup on the Palo Alto Firewall. After that, we will see how we can enable the radius, because every organization use radius for the authentication purpose, right? Authentication and authorization, these four triple A services. Let's suppose we are having 50 firewall, then we are not going to create a usernames on all these 50 firewalls, right? We use some kind of centralized user managed system like Active Directory or like Cisco ICE, Identity Service Engine, or Cisco ACS. Nowadays ACS is not there, so everyone uses Cisco ICE, or maybe other AAA solution like we can use Aruba Clear Pass. Okay, for that we can also configure radius server on Active Directory, right? So we can Palo Alto fetch the details from AD and we will configure authentication and authorization policies. And if we are creating users on locally on the Palo Alto firewall, how we can define the roles for them. So today I am just trying to cover that particular part. Okay. So I directly go into my lab, and today what I have done, I have just added one more extra interface here. And yesterday Palo Alto have only this interface, right? And we have configured in switch and this interface a layer 3 interface, and we have configured the IP address in switch is 10.1.1.100. So today what I will change slightly here, what I will change, I'll just first I'll just make this interface as a ether channel interface. So I'll just put them into the ether channel group, and after it I will put these particular interfaces into some VLAN. Let's suppose VLAN 100, and I will create one SVI on this particular end. Okay, so let's see this thing. And also one more important topic is left, which is policy based forwarding. So I will also try to cover that one. So let me first start my topology, and let me just do the basic stuff over there. So I have started all of my nodes. They will take some time to come up properly. Okay. So meanwhile, let me just explain you regarding the ether channel. So generally on Cisco switches supports two kind of Cisco switches support ether channel, and they have supported ether channel configured into two modes, LACP and PAGP. PAGP is a like Cisco proprietary protocol, so we will not able to use PAGP between Palo Alto and Cisco switches, right? Because when we are configuring ether channel between Cisco devices, then only this both supports PAGP. So we will use here LACP. LACP is a open standard. This is a use case. If you see, if you go to into little bit below, so what we will usually do, let's say we are having one switch here and one switch here. Okay, if we are having only single interface between these switches, there is a lots of chances if this interface goes down due to maybe this interface failed due to some issues, right? There is a lots of chances. Okay, so in that case, what we can do, we will put multiple interfaces between two firewalls, between two devices for the redundancy purpose. So all these four interfaces which we have connected between these switches are the same unit, and they are doing the data forwarding simultaneously. Means we have just bind four interfaces into one interface. So if any of the interface goes down, at least we are having other interface for the data forwarding. In every data centers, you have a ether channel configuration between the devices for the, because they will not introduce single point of failure. They have a setup like this. I will not go into the theory. If you want, you can read that theory. Okay. LACP stand for Link Aggregation Control Protocol, and PAGP is stand for Port Aggregation Protocol. These are the modes. Okay. So in LACP basically works on two modes, three modes basically. LACP on mode, active mode, passive mode. PAGP on mode, desirable mode, and auto mode. Okay, so let me tell you one thing. Let's say we are having switch 1 here and switch 2 here. Or like Palo Alto. This is a Palo Alto. Okay. We have connected these interfaces like this. We have configured EtherChannel between them. So if we configure LACP in active mode this side and active mode this side, which means both devices initiate the LACP packets towards each other. So means they are just trying to actively participate on LACP negotiation, and they will basically try to create a ether channel. Okay. Let's suppose we have set the mode in this way. Here we have set active, and other end we have set the passive. Palo Alto side we have set passive, and switch end we have set active. In that case, always switch basically forward the packet. He is the initiator. He will forward the packet towards Palo Alto, these LACP packet. This Palo Alto will not initiate any kind of packets. Okay. And let's suppose we have set passive here, passive here. What happen in that case? Both will not initiate any kind of LACP packet. So ether channel will not come up in that case. So that's why either use active active scenario or either use active passive. Don't use passive passive at both end. Then we also have on mode. On mode we use, let's suppose we are having here switch. That switch have a connectivity with the server. So at switch end we will set the mode active, and in switch end we need to server and we need to set the mode on, because server cannot have any kind of method to send the LACP packets. So we have to configure this side on mode. Okay, this is the use case for on mode. I'm not going with this PAGP because I will put you that one into the chat so you can just go through. See, switch one mode, switch two mode, on, then ether channel established. Active and active passive, yes, they will establish. On active passive, not configure, no. On then active, no. Passive on or passive, no. Right? So we have to always go with these ones. Either this one, either this one. Not either this one or either this one. But we usually go with this. Active passive or active active. So these are the commands. Okay. So I use that command. Let me just put you this thing on a chat so you can also go through. Where is the chat? Yeah, here it is. So you can just go through with the theory, and let me see if my lab is came up. I'll just open this Palo Alto firewall. I'll also open this switch. Today I will not open these devices, okay? Whenever I need, then only I will open them. Let me just type here admin and admin. I just want to see what is the password. Sorry, what is the username? So we have put the username admin and password is also admin. I just want to check the IP address here. What is the IP address? So interface management. IP address is 192.168.137.3. Let's go into this IP address. I will log into my firewall. Meanwhile, let me configure the ether channel at switch end. So I'll go to into my switch, enable, then conf t. Okay, so what I need to do, so if you see right now, do so run interface gig 0/0. Right now this interface I have configured as a layer 3 interface. So what I first need to change that the type of this interface, switch port. So I'll just make the, I will remove this configuration. Okay, switch port, then switch port mode access and add it, exit out. Do so IP interface brief. Let me just check what is the IP configuration I am having. So I have here VLAN 2, VLAN 3, VLAN 4, and VLAN 5. So what I will use here VLAN 100. Okay. So what I will do, I'll create a VLAN 100. I just exit out. I have my VLAN 100 is created. Now I'll go to into this interfaces. Interface gig 0/0. Interface range gig 0/0, and I also need to select the gig 1/1. So I have selected both interface. What I will go here, I will just type switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 100. Now here we need to define the ether channel setting. Channel group, if we go with auto, then enable the LACP auto on this interface. So what I'll just give the channel group 100. Then I will select the mode, and what mode I want. I want here active mode, right? Because we use LACP actively. So range command terminated because it failed on this, on Giga Ethernet 0/0. Command rejected. Port channel 100 gig invalid group slot. Okay. So what it is just saying, we cannot able to use this interface gig 0/1 for the ether channel group. So what I can do, I'll stop this switch. Okay, and let me just edit. And what I will do, because we have some limitation on this EVNG, we cannot able to use first interface as a ether channel. That's why we are getting this. So what, getting this option. So I need to stop both the machines actually. Then only I can able to connect. So but let me just stop this guy as well. I delete the connection, but I will again reconnect the interfaces. Other and what I will select. So I will say gig 1/2. Okay. So this is the slight change which I have done into my lab. And instead of gig 0/0, we are going with gig 1/1 and gig 1/2. Okay, so when you will create your lab, you can create your lab like this, and after that you can start your doing the practicals for all the things. Okay, so my device is about to come up. Let me just open this particular switch. Let me also try to open my firewall. Firewall will take some time to come up properly, so don't worry. In that switch, this switch will come up little bit soon. Meanwhile, let me also show you how policy based forwarding works. Okay, so what I will do, policy based forwarding, Palo Alto dual ISP. Okay, I'll just open few document and just open this one knowledge base, because here you will get the step by step configuration steps. Okay, so if you see this particular image, is there a way to increase the size? Actually looks like, okay. So if you see this particular image, here we are having Palo Alto Firewall. This firewall have a management connectivity in this way, and here we are having two interfaces, and we are having two connection with the ISP. Okay, and if you see this is the like our trust zone. Okay, or we can say inside zone. Here we are having basically switch. Now if you want traffic from this particular server, or traffic from 172 then 17.201.0/24, if this traffic we wants to forward always from this ISP2, and the remaining traffic will go from the ISP1, in that case we will configure policy based forwarding, PBF. In policy based forwarding, what happens right now, if we want to go to some place, right, let's suppose, I'll give one example. Let's suppose from Delhi, India, if I want to go to New York, USA, right? So I will go to into Delhi airport, I will check for the flight, right? So here when I'll check for the flights, I always check the flight on the basis of New York, right? Means on the basis of destination. Maybe I'll got few flights via Dubai, via Abu Dhabi, via London, right? There's a multiple paths to reach to the New York from the Delhi. So what I'm checking these flights details on the basis of destination. Same thing. Let's suppose this particular PC sitting here, if he want to reach till the Facebook server, let's say Facebook server IP address 100.1.1.1. Now this PC basically forward the packet to router, then this router forward to the packet to another router, this another router forward the packet to another router, and by end of the day your packet reaches till the Facebook. So all these devices basically forwarding the that packet on the basis of destination address. So if this particular router R1 wants, let me also derive one more. Let's say you are having one more way to reach till the Facebook like this. Then you are also have one more way to reach till the Facebook like this, or direct till the Facebook. So now when this router wants to send forward the packet over Facebook, he will basically try to identify the shortest path, right? So he will do the lookup on routing table for the destination IP. So always in normal mode, when any device wants to forward a data to any kind of server or any kind of destination, they will do the routing lookup on the routing table on the basis of destination. Means routing happens on the basis of destination. When we enable the policy based forwarding, that time devices basically take the decision on the basis of source. Means we are configuring the device and we are just instructing that device, please start making the routing decision on the basis of source IP, on the basis of configured policies. That thing is known as policy based forwarding. Okay. So now we will configure the policy based forwarding. This is the basic theory for policy based forwarding. Okay. And if I'll go into this one, this is the configuration example. So if you see here, we are having ISP, primary ISP and secondary ISP, right? We are having these subnets, 10 series, 172 series and 192 series, right? So what is the requirement? These are the IP address on our outside interfaces. Okay. So if we want like traffic for 10.0.0 series, always go via primary, and traffic for 170.16 and 190.16 will always go via secondary ISP. And if this ISP goes down, then traffic go from the whatever ISP is active. Okay. So we are going to just make this kind of configuration. So now what we will see this particular setup. Don't worry. We will see just configuration part. We can also do the failover and everything. Don't worry. So when we configure these rules, I will show it to you. Okay. So this is the use case, and if you want, this is the another use case. This is the primary ISP, then we are having backup ISP. Okay. So here you will get the proper implementation with the other details as well. Okay, so whenever you face any confusion and all, just refer these Palo Alto documentation. I'll also use to refer it them. Let me just see if my devices came up. So Palo Alto is came up. Let me just make enter inside this one. Let me go to into my topology and let me just do the basic configuration. Okay. Do so run interface gig 0/0. Let me just see if I'll have any configuration. Yeah, this interface have a configuration of what interface gig 0/0. I will remove that config. No IP address. This will remove the IP address. Then I'll just configure switch port. So this become the switch port. Let me just do the right, ma'am. So these changes become permanent. Now I'll start configuration of ether channel. Okay, I'll just put gig 1/1 and 1/2 into the ether channel group. So it is just taking some time. Okay, so interface range gig 1/1 to I have selected both the interfaces, switch port mode, access, switch port, access, VLAN 100. Okay, then I'll type ether channel, channel group. I'll just give 100, group name is 100, mode is active, enter. Command rejected port, this one and this one invalid port, invalid group slot number. Range command terminated because it failed on this one. I'm not sure why I'm not able to make them. I am not able to group them into ether channel group. Interface gig 1/1. Let me just channel group. Port channel. Let me just see. Auto for the system. Interface gig 1/1. Let me go with one by one. Mode active. Interface in auto lagging mode. Cannot configure channel group manually. I think we will not able to configure LACP here. There is some issue. LACP. Let me know. This is for something else. Let me just see the commands. Yeah, commands are similar. Channel protocol LACP. Let me just configure in this way. Channel interface range gig 1/122 channel channel protocol LACP channel group 100 mode is active, enter. Command rejected. Interface this in auto lagging mode, cannot configure channel group manually. interface gig 1/1 channel protocol LACP. Why it is not taking? I'm not sure. Channel group 100 mode active enter. See, this switch is not taking this command, it is just rejecting that command on this interface. Group 1. Let me just go with group 1 if I can. It is just rejecting the command actually. Which means we will not able to enable the LACP. Maybe these particular devices will not support that one. That's why. Interface in auto lag mode cannot configure ether channel manually. Let me just check if we have any other commands here. Port channel LACP auto for the system. LACP works on active and passive, right? They will support PAGP, but PAGP will not support by the Palo Alto. So the thing is, looks like we will not able to configure ether channel into between Palo Alto and this switch because this switch is not supported ether channel properly. We are getting this particular error. It is rejecting our commands, okay? But that's the way how ether channel works. If you are working into physical environment, definitely you can able to do that. So what I will do, let me do one thing. Let me just configure this interface gig 1/2 as a layer 3 interface, and we will just go with our old topology like we have it previous. IP address 10.1.1.100 255.255.255.0. No shutdown, and right ma'am, and we will check the pulse width forwarding and other steps. Okay, I just don't want to waste my time. Ping 10.1.1.250. Let me see. Yeah, ping is working, means I can able to reach till the firewall. So IP route, and I also have a route pointing towards my firewall. So I am good to go with my other lab part. Okay. So this is my Palo Alto VM. And right now, see, if I'll go to into my device tab and to administrator, right now I am having only one admin, right? But there is a need. I also wants to add few other admins. Okay. So how I can do that? What I will just click on here, add button. Let me add a one more admin. His name is Kunal, and I'll give him the username is admin ad 123 and password is admin ad 123. This is the password for this guy. I can give the administrative type, it's a dynamic or a role based. First, I will go with dynamic and I'll just make him super user. Means he can do anything on the firewall. I'll do have one more user. Let me just give the name to like read only. This is the username, read only. So this guy basically have a read only access on your Palo Alto firewall. 123. And what I'll go there, I'll just make him a super user but with the read only permissions. Let me add one more and I'll give the name to this guy is device admin. So username is device admin, password is admin add 123, admin add 123. I'll make him as a device administrator. Just click on commit, click save and let me just commit, and after it I will log in with these user credential one by one and we will see. So what I'll just go and I will create a new incognito window here and I'll just type the Palo Alto IP address 192.168.137.3. Okay, let me just see if my commit is succeeded. Now I'll go here and I'll just log in with the Kunal first. And this Kunal, he is a super user, right? Super user means he can do everything on the firewall. Like admin can do, he can also able to do everything. Okay. If you see, he is having access of everything here. In policy, he can go to into the policy, he can delete the policies, he can add the policies, right? Whatever he want, he is having all kind of access here. If he go to into object, he can allow to add the object like some this kind of object. Let me just add. He's have added this object, right? He can do the commit on the devices. He can he can also able to change the password for other users. If I'll go to into administrators, he can, if he want to change the password for this gun, he is having all these access, right? You can see this screen. Means he can do whatever he want. He can add other users as well. So what? Let me add one more user on the basis of roles, right? So here we are having three admins: security admin, crypto admin, audit admin. Audit administrator for common criteria means by using the admin roles we can control the traffic, control the access of our firewall. So if I'll add here user one, or what I can do, I'll just go with network. So the thing, I only want to give the access to this particular. If I'll attach this role to a user, that time he is only able to see the, he can able to see the dashboard and the network setting. He can only able to see and make the changes on these settings, network settings, and other setting I am just disabling for this person. Okay, now he is only having access of this network tab. I have just added the role. Let me add the user this time. I'm doing all these activities from, so I'll give the user 01. Okay, admin add 123, admin add 123, and what? I'll want to give him a role based access on the basis of role which we have created, which is network. So this users have access of only network time. I will commit. So now Kunal is able to do anything because he is a super user like admin. Okay. So if you want to make admin to a user, then you can always provide him a super user credentials, or you can just give him a role of super user. So commit has been succeeded. Now what, I will just log out. So I'll go to into this one. I'll just log out from Kunal. And this time what? I will log in with a administrator who is having read only access. So the name is read only. So username is read only. Read only, and I'll give the password here. So this particular user having only read only access on our firewall. Okay, if you see, if you can go to into interfaces, click here, try to change. Is- See, but this option is grayed out, means he can only able to see the settings. He is not allowed to make any changes, right? If I'll go into zones, if I'll select this zone, see, delete is not there, means he cannot able to do anything. I am also not able to read because all these options are gray out. So if you see, this user only have the access of read only. He cannot able to actually make any change, but he can see everything. So this is the user. So let's suppose there's a one person who have joined newly, and you don't want to make him any changes on the firewall. Just give him read only privilege. So he can only able to see the configuration of your firewall, but he will not able to do any kind of changes. Okay. So this is the read only.
So
So
that's how that is where you create account from there.
yeah, yeah. So I have done all these settings from
Okay.
here,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
what? Let me. This is the read only. Let me just log out and let me log in with the device admin this time. Device admin. Put the password and we will test it out. Okay. So this is the device administrator. He can he can also have access of almost everything. He can make the changes. He can add the rules. He can define the source, and he can do whatever he want, right? And if he select this one, he can clone the rule. Okay. He can be also change the rule settings. He can select, and he can also able to delete the rules. So this is the administrative level access. If he want, he can also delete that one. So this is a device administrator. Here but he is not able to see the other admins here, just remember. Okay. So what I can do, I'll just log in here. Let me log in with the user 01, which is having access of our network tab only. Admin add 123, and you will see that thing. He can only able to see the network related settings. Nothing he can do apart from that. So if we have hired someone who is who is only we have if we have hired someone for making the changes for network tab. See, he is having access of dashboard, the basic one, not the other part, and the network tab. Other tab is not there as well for this person. He can only able to make the changes on these interfaces. Okay, so this is how we will basically control the uh, access on the basis of different roles, right? If I'll go into this one, and if I'll add one more role, and I want to give the access to, so let's say to the security tab only, so he can only able to make the changes on security rules and net rules, right? I'll go there, I'll disable the monitoring, and I'll give the access of dashboard as well and security tab. Let me give him access of security tab and object tab. Other part I will disable for him. I will disable the entire networking. I will disable entire device setup. So if you disable the commit, then in that case he cannot also able to commit. If you see, for network user we have disabled the commit, so he is also not able to commit anything. So when you are deciding, you have to make sure at least he is having access of this commit. Okay, commit and task tab. So we have added a one security guy. And let me add user 2. He is only, we have hired him to are maintaining the security only, security policies and net policies. So role based access, and I'll just give him security, and let me just commit. Meanwhile, what right now if you see, this user one is only have the access of network tab, but he is not able to commit the changes, but we want to provide him the commit access. So what, I'll just go to and I will select the commit, and let me just commit again. So this thing become permanent, and after that this person also able to commit the changes on the firewall. So commit is succeeded. If I'll go to into this where we have login as admin one, I'll commit this time. So we have to log in and log back again. We have to log out, log in, then only these changes will take place. So user one, add, add 1 2 3, and I will log in. He's having access of network tab only, and let me just change this interface type from tab to something else. HA. Okay, I'm just doing this. If I'll commit my changes, see this time I have a commit access as well. Okay, so I can only able to maintain these interfaces, routing, VPN and VPN setup and all, but I don't have access of other tabs. Okay, so I log out this time and I will log in with the security admin, so which is a user 2. This user have access of our object tab and security tab. So he is not able to make any kind of changes into your network settings or device settings. See this guy having access of policies. So he can do whatever he want with this particular policies, net, and these objects. He can create the object, He has access of creating the object, right? And let me just see if I'll have anything else apart from this as well in admin roles. Security profile. See, this guy is not having XML API access as well and the command line access. We have to also define. So if we will log in with this, who is the user who is having this role, he is not able to access Palo Alto Firewall by using CLI. We have to define this thing. What kind of access we want to provide him in a command line. Okay, so if I'll go to here, if I'll type, copy the IP address, I'll go to admin. Let me just admin with the user one. Let's see if we are able to access this Palo Alto file with user 01 or not. So user 01 admin at 123. See, I am not able to access it. Firewall is rejecting the access. See, user admin access monitor tab, authentication for user one from this laptop. He is detected. Authentication is succeeded, but after that he has just dropped. Okay, because he is not having any kind of authorization access. If I'll go to into again into device tab, if I'll go into admin roles, and for this security person, or not for security, this network person, I want to provide the access on CLI as a super reader, means he can read the configuration. I'll go there, and if this time I will again log in into the firewall. Let's wait for the commit to complete. So this is how we will basically configure the role-based access on Palo Alto Firewall for restricting the access of multiple component of Palo Alto. Just 01 admin at 123. So interface IP. So interface management. We can see the management details. So system info. We can also able to see the system info. We can also go to into configure mode. Set device config. See, set command is not working. Set command is even he is not able to run because we have given only the read only access. So he can only able to run show commands. But if I'll press here set, nothing is there. Delete, nothing is there. Request, nothing is there. He's only having the access of show command. So this is how we will basically restrict the access. And this is the way how we can create the administrator accounts here. We also have authentication profile. So that's we have already discussed in user ID. Now what I want to, let me just go to here. So this is the like administrator accounts. You can check it out, this particular PDF. Admin roles, password authentication, client certificate, public key, SHS. These are the settings which we have already discussed. These are the also three roles which you have seen into your Palo Alto firewall. By default, Palo Alto gives you these roles. Okay. So if you want to see what kind of access you are having under these roles, you can go to into this one and just see. This is an audit admin. So he is having access of monitor tab and other, and he can only able to see the device settings, but In device, most of the part is disabled for him. Like he cannot do anything with the setup, with the high availability, with the audit config. In log setting, he can only able to manage the log. So like this, basically we will create the rules. Okay. In XMLP, everything is disabled. In command line also, everything is disabled. To the security admin, he's having access of dashboard, ACC monitor tab, and policy. In policy, we have disabled him for the tunnel policies, right? He's not having in network tab. He don't have any access for IPsec. In network profile, he don't have anything with the VPN related stuff. He don't have any access. So like this, we basically generally create the things. The crypto admin, this is the VPN user. This role we will give to a person who is having access, who will responsible for maintaining the VPN, IPsec and global protect. So he's having access of monitor tab. Other access is disabled for him. In network tab, he is having of IPsec tunnels and network profiles because these are the VPN related steps. This is for certificate management, and that's it. So like this, basically we will follow the Palo Alto best practice guides for writing these rules and everything. Let me just go to into this one. So if you want, you can basically create your roles. You can create these three users. Okay, this is the lab. So we have already did that kind of lab. So don't worry. This is something related to password profiles and all. So what we can have other thing. We have gone with the default password and all, right? So like right now, if you have seen, we have set the things by ourselves, right? We have set the password but ourselves. So here we can also give like some kind of password profile. Word profile 01 required password change period. So we can also set that option, right? So like let's suppose in every 2 months users need to change his password expiration so generally, so we will give like excellent warning period days. So after 45 days, basically we have set here password need to change in 2 months. Then in after 45 days, basically it will give you the warning. You have to change your password. And these kind of settings we post expiration admin login count. These things we will go and I will click over there this way. And after we can attach this password profile with the administrator. Okay, I'm not going that in that way, but if you want, you can test it out in your lab. Yeah, this is regarding the administrators. Okay, now let me quickly go into your backup and restore. Okay, so what, let me just close this particular window. I don't need it. I'll have this one, that is enough. Okay, so generally backup and restore is the most important activity of an organization. We usually have some automatic tool like Nizos. These are the devices who automatically take the backup of your all the devices every day. We can set the frequency like in every 24 hours. They just they just run the app, some kind of, they log into the devices by using some kind of programmatic, and they just run the show config commands, and they will just take the backup and they just save that particular copy into the storage server, like backup with some date and the device name, all these details. Okay, And we use these kind of things if that device basically goes down due to some reasons, then at least we have a backup copy of the device, so we can directly configure the device into within 30-40 minutes. We just copy the configuration from this backup file and we just apply them on the firewall. As I told you, so we are having two kind of configuration: startup config and running config. So this is a Cisco terminology. A startup configuration is a persistent copy of configuration file which is kept normally in NVRAM. Okay, this file is kept in NVRAM and content of a startup config file are retained after reboot. So means whenever device is rebooted and when he comes back up, he always load the startup config file. We also have running config. So this is the current configuration which is running on the firewall, and this configuration always save into your RAM. Startup config you will find into NVRAM, and running configuration you will find into the device RAM. In case of if a Cisco device loses power, all the running config command will be lost. Palo Alto Firewall use opposite process. Persistent configuration called running configuration. Means in case of Palo Alto, let me tell you, there is a one slight difference, right? In Cisco, whatever configuration we will did, it will right away save into the running config. But in Palo Alto, whatever config we will do, it will save into the candidate config. So this is a Cisco and this is a Palo Alto. So in Cisco, whatever changes we will make, they will directly save into the running config. But in Palo Alto, whatever changes we will make, they will save first into candidate config. Okay. When we run here, write mem, write memory, that running configuration will save into your startup config file. When we run commit here, that time this candidate config save into running config. Okay. So when you change something, nothing will happen. This is called as candidate config. Means, and also whatever changes we will apply on Cisco devices, they directly save into running configuration. Means they start running right away. But in case of Palo Alto, whatever change we will make, they will not directly run into running config. They will save into candidate config. Then we need to do the commit. Then only they will save into the running config. When a commit, when we run a commit, now the candidate config become the permanent running config. This is the behavior of our Palo Alto firewall. I'll go there. So always candidate config will be saved into the management plane. When we hit the commit, that basically that candidate config save into go into the running configuration and applied on the data plane. And if we revert it back, then again it comes into the management plane. Let me just go there. Candidate configuration. So when make any changes to the configuration of existing parameters like policy, zone, etc. in Palo Alto Firewall, or click OK, the candidate configuration is either created or updated. So let's suppose if I'll go to into my device into object tab. If I'll add one object here, if I press the OK, which means this config become save into the candidate configuration. How you can see? You have to go to into device tab, config audit, click on go. It will give you the difference. So whatever configuration right now you are seeing these, this is the similar one. Go down. If you see the configuration regarding the with this green color, which means this is the configuration which you have added just now. This is the new configuration. Now go down, go down. I just want to show you that object. See, we have added this object. So this is also a new, means you will see into this place with the green icon. If I'll do one thing, if I let me just commit my changes. When I'll commit my changes, at that time you will see both candidate config and the running config looks same. There is no difference. Commit the changes. Let me just go again. See, right now what Palo Alto is saying, both version are same, means both interfaces are, both the like running config and candidate config are same. Okay, let me do one thing. If I'll go into object, into this one, what I will do, let me just change the IP address here. I'll just change here and I'll just modify that config. Here I have just modified it. Let me add one more. So this I will give the name to this one like AA, and I'll give here 6.6.6.6. So this is the newly added, and let me just delete that one. And this time I'll go to into device, and if I'll go there, you will see all these details now. Go down, go down. See, you when you are seeing this particular color, means this is the modified one. Okay, so this is the modified one. We have basically changed the IP address, right? This is the modified thing. This is also modified one. Okay, and if I'll commit my changes, this basically now candidate config will save into the running configuration. So this is your candidate, this is your running. In Palo Alto, in PA firewall, this type of configuration is known as a called it candidate configuration. Means whatever changes we will make, it will go into the candidate one. Candidate configuration is reside in the memory on the Palo Alto management plane. All the configuration changes in the Palo Alto firewall are done to a candidate configuration. Candidate configuration resides in memory on the control plane of Palo Alto firewall. So generally candidate configuration file is always resides in the memory on the management plane. All configuration changes in the Palo Alto firewall are done to a candidate configuration. Means whatever changes we are making, these changes basically directly we are just making on the candidate configuration file. And this configuration is available always on a management plane, or we can say control plane. Now we are having running configuration. When commit tab at the top right corner of web UI of Palo Alto is clicked, or when typing commits, CLI command in the configuration mode of the Palo Alto firewall. The candidate configuration is applied to the running configuration of Palo Alto. Means when we wants to make the configuration, whatever changes we have done on the candidate config file, when we want to make them permanent, we always needs to put the commit command. In Palo Alto firewall, this configuration file, whatever current configuration is running, is known as a running configuration. A running configuration file resides in the memory of Palo Alto data plane. Okay. So this is the changes. Then we have hit the commit, and these changes become into the running configuration. We also have this save option. Saving a config change is basically saving the XML configuration to a file. Saving a config does not apply the changes into the current config file. Saving changes to the candidate configuration does not activate those changes. Saving means when we just save the configuration. Okay. You will get that option. So like what I will do, I'll go to into objects. Let me add one object here. G, I will have added one triple G object. I'll give the name to this 10.1.10.1.1. Okay. 1.10.1.1. I have created this one. If I'll go into this file, if I'll save the config, I have saved this config into the XML file. But looks like I have just did the wrong config. So I can, what I can do, I can just revert my changes. See, whatever config I have done, which is removed. So we also use sometimes that thing before making the changes, or when we make the changes, we can save the changes as a like we just save it, and we can also revert them later point of time. Commit is basically save and apply the changes. So when we hit the commit, it will save the changes and apply the changes into the Palo Alto firewall. Commit changes to the configuration file, changes override running configuration. Commit changes to the configuration, override running config, and become active. So this is the theory. We will also have now these options, configuration management options. Okay. If you make a mistake in Palo Alto network firewall configurations, right? PAN-OS allows to quickly revert to the last safe config or a running config. There is a difference between the last safe config and running config file. These two options could be called as one-click restore configurations. Okay, both options do not allow you to select which file to restore from. Both options to restore the config from two different sources. Okay, revert the last save config, restore the config from a snapshot.xml file. And if you want to revert your running configuration, you can revert from running config.xml. These are the options you will see. So what I can do, if I'll go to into Palo Alto to device tab, into operations, these are the options which you can see here. So what I want, let me go to into this object. Let me create one object like temp. I'll give this name as a temp, and like 10.10.10.10/32. Save it, and I'll just commit it. Means I'll just commit my changes. Means I'll make this object permanent on the firewall. Okay. And also let me do one thing. Let me also create one security rule. I'll create one security rule. This like this. Source zone is inside. Let me just give here destination zone also inside. Okay. And let me just deny the traffic. It's just a bogus rule I have created. Let me commit my changes. So I have did two things. I have added one object group and I have just created one rule here. Okay, don't worry about these warnings and all. Now let's suppose we have did these things wrong, right? In that case, what we have to revert the configuration. What revert to the running configuration? We will click here. We will revert into the running configuration. Configuration is being loaded. Please check the task manager for the status. Go into task. See, load is completed. If I'll go to this time to my policies, I'll do see this rule and I'll do see this as well. So these things are available right here. Okay. I'll go again into the task. Let me just see what is the status here. Load is completed here, but I'm not loaded config loaded from running config.xml. Okay, so it is just loading the currently file. What I just want to remove that once. So what I'll have, load the config version. We can also have these options. We can save the configuration and all. Okay, let me just go to the slide back. Let's see. Revert, save, load operations all. Manage configuration locally to the firewall. So revert to the last save config. This option restored the last save candidate configuration from the local device. This option restored the default snapshot of the candidate configurations. This option restored the default snapshot. This one. And I'm just looking for the running config how we can load. So let me just show you the small practical for this one. I'll go to into my policies. Okay. I have just let me just delete this rule. Deleted this rule and I just saved my changes. Okay. My changes has been saved. Now if I want to revert them, I can either go to displays and I'll just revert to the last save configuration. I have this rule, right? And let me just save my configuration. Right now I have nothing to save. Okay. So if I've done any kind of changes, okay, let's suppose I have added this rule outside and inside. I've added this rule. I go to into net. Let me add net rule as well. Give the journal rule. Source zone is inside. Destination zone is outside. Translated address is dynamic IP. I'll give the any address here. Okay. I have done that thing as well. Now I have done some changes, but I forget. But I want to just revert them into the actual configuration which are running previously, right? In that case, I have to go to into revert last saved configuration. When I did this one, if I'll go to into policy, see my net rule is removed and saved config. This security rule is also removed. Means, let's suppose you have started doing some changes. Okay, you have made some changes. Let's say you have just changed 10 rules. You have added few net rules, like 10 net rules you have added. You have changes the IP address and other stuffs into few security rules, right? And you forget what exactly you have done. Now the thing is, now you want to make sure, you want to just come back again at your starting point from you have started. That time you can use that option. What option you can, into device tab you have to use this option, revert to the last configuration, revert to the last save configuration. Okay, so this is the way. Now revert to the running configuration. So restore the last running configuration from running config.xml. The current running configuration is overwritten. This option shows difference between a snapshot taken when changes and the saved and committed running configuration file. The first prompt asks if you want to continue with the restore. So let me just go there. Saving the configuration file, save the candidate config name. So these added and modified we have seen. Verify running configuration. Let me just see what the other part we have here. So I will just go with them only. So this is the configuration which I have added here. Okay. So the best practice for doing these kind of things, what we usually perform generally. Let's suppose, let me first commit my changes. Okay, whatever is there, let me just save first this configuration. Okay, you will get these options: load, export, and import. So export means if you want to export any kind of configuration. Like right now, if you are having running right now, what is running configuration file? If you want to save, you can just export it. Save somewhere into your desktop, into your system. So whatever come, we have done the commit, and we have also exported our configuration, right? If you want, you can also export the device state. What are the state of your device? Just export it. If you want to export the version as well, right now these are the versions, means we have made different changes, right? At different time zones we have run the different commits. So Palo Alto maintain around, also maintains the versions. So the current version is this one. So let me 22. Let me just export that 22. In 22 in objects, I am having only 3 objects, right? I'll go there. Let me just delete the temp one. I have deleted. I have committed my changes. Okay, so you have deleted one object, but let's suppose you have did the wrongly, you have deleted that object. You want to delete this one, but you have deleted the other one. How you can do that? In that case, what you have, you can also have one option, load configuration versions, because your current version is 23, so just load with 22. If you go to into your object, see, you have got the temp here. This is the one option. You can also import it. Import the name configuration snapshot. You can browse it. Whatever you have saved into your system, you can also browse that one. You have also have that option. So we are having two options. Either we can load from the firewall itself, or either we can import from our system. So generally, when you are trying to make any kind of changes, try to export the current version into your system. Do your changes whatever you want, and after ask the customer to do the testing. And if customer claims his test is unsuccessful, now this is your job to basically revert with the actual configuration from where you have started. So you can that time load your configuration. So you have either you can load from the existing version, either, and I will come with this named configuration. Okay, I'll come with this later. And either you can import from your system. So you have two options out there. Whatever you want, you can go for this. Now, if you also got one option, let me just commit my changes. Okay, I have committed my changes. Whatever configuration is right now in my system, let me just commit with that. Okay, see right now, if you see in object, I have only 3 objects. Okay, and only one rule. What I'll go into my device. I'll just save the named configuration snapshot. So I'll just save, I'll give the name. You give 3 object, one rule. I'll give this kind of name. People give some descriptive name, but I'm 3 object and one rule right now. Okay. And I'll go to into this object. Let me just select these objects and let me just clone them. Let me just again clone them. Again clone them. So right now I'll got few more objects, right? Let me just go there and let me just clone this rule as well. I have added one more rule. Let me just commit my changes. So right now I am having 2 rules and how many objects? Around 12 objects. Okay. 2 rules and 12 objects. What I will go to into my device. I'll just save one more snapshot. Here 2 rules and 12 objects. Now let's suppose you wants to revert your configuration with one rule and 3 objects at that time. So what you can do, you can just click on load named snapshot. You have that option. 3 object, one rule. This is loaded. You will get 3 objects and one rule. But if you want to again go to with the 12 object, whatever configuration you have, you can also do that. So now you will get 12 object and 2 rules, right? So this is the way how we can play with these particular options on your Palo Alto Firewall. We always use this saved the configuration with the names. So we can save the running current configuration, or we can also save the candidate configuration. We can also got that option to export them. We can export these ones. Okay. We can export this config or this config into our system as well. We will export it and we will keep into our system. Revert to the last saved if you want. So we have seen that options as well. Revert to the running configuration. We can also see that. So this is the way how we can play with these options. Okay. Okay. Now let me quickly show you one more small practical regarding the radius server. Okay. So for doing this practical, what you need to do, you need to download one very small software which is bin radius, because I don't have any other radius server, so I am just going with this small one only. Okay. So what you can do, you have to download this package. You don't need to install, you have to just run this particular file as a administrator. So right now it is running fine. In settings, database, you can just configure the OD database automatically. Click on OK. Go to operations and let me just query. So I am having these users. Kunal, user 0 to user 1. Let me just delete this user. Okay. Let me put the password for this user. I'll add some other user here. Okay. I'll add one more user. I'll give the name this user to. Let's suppose I'll give San here. Admin add 123. This is the password which I'm going to give, and I'll give this. This is a like network admin. Okay. I'll save his thing. Let me just do the again. I'll just query who the user did. Right now I'm having these users. Okay. Into my radius server. Now what I will do, I'll go to into my Palo Alto firewall, and this radius server I am having is able to I'm able to access from my management interface, because this radius server I am running in my window machine, my main PC. On that main PC I am having this BMnet 8 adapter, right, which is having IP address in 192.168.137.1. So both Palo Alto so my Palo Alto able to reach till the radius server. So what I will do, go to into device, you have to go to into your radius and just add here radius server. Okay. So just give the name radius server. I'll go with peep ms chef b2. You will have several options here. So I don't want to go with the certificate here. Okay. I'll add my server details. So I'll give here server 01, and I'll give the IP address of my radius server, which is 192.168.137.1. Secret key, I also need to give the secret key. So secret key of my radius server is where I can find. I'll go into settings, into system, and this is the secret. I'll just copy this secret. I'm running radius server into this IP, just remember. Just copy this secret. I'll go to into my pan machine. I'll just type this secret here. Why it is ask make user identity anonymous? Okay. I need to define this candidate profile as well. What? Let me just create one set candidate profile. I'll give the name, right? Candidate profile. Okay. I need to also generate one certificate, but why they are, it is not required here. Let me just go with chap. Okay, in case of chap, we don't require this certificate and all. Okay, so just go with this chap option. These are the different authentication mechanisms. Generally we will go with either pap or either chap, so I'll go with chap. Click on OK. I have created my radius server. I'll just click on commit. After commit, my firewall able to fetch these users, whatever users I am having into my radius server, I will able to fetch them. Okay, so there is some issue with the policy, but I don't need. Okay, so I have just configure the radius profile. Now what I will do, I'll go to into my authentication profile. I'll go there and I'll just create like radius profile. Okay, authentication type is radius, and I'll just select my radius server detail. I'll leave these details this one and allow list. I'll just go with all. Now click on OK. Now let me commit my changes. So I need to do the multiple commits here. Okay. So authentication profile I have created. I will go to into administrators. If I select here this profile, and if I'll give the name like users from radius. Okay, and I'll give the dynamic access super user to all my radius users. Okay, I'll click OK. I've created this profile. Let me commit my changes. And I have included all the users here. If you see, all of my users are there included. Okay, so nothing, I don't want to do anything now. See, my commit is also succeeded, and I have defined my radius users into this place as well, right? So if this time, if I'll go, let me just open new window. Let me just type the IP address of my Palo Alto here, 192.168.137.3. And if I log in with my radius user, so let me just see what is the username I have. I have added San here. So let me just log in with San. This time I can able to log in. If I'm not able to log in, which means my radius is not working properly. What I will do, I'll again go to into my radius. So let me just test. 192.168.137.1. So username is Sen and password is, let me type the password, which is admin at 123. Let me just send. Just run it again as an administrator account. Sometimes this will not work in first go. Yeah, we can able to fetch the details easily. Database authentication, everything is looks correct here as well. Accounting settings is also looks good. System setting also looks good. Okay, so let me just clear. Let me just send the request once again. Sometimes this will not work due to window firewall and all. Okay, so these are the things which we need to take care. So delete user failed, add user successful, query started, send authenticate. Okay, means he is just authenticating to the send, right? If you see here, and let me just go with user one. Okay, for login, and if I can able to get the authentication method one, user one, admin at 123. This is the password. See invalid user we are getting. See user send is authenticated, means from Palo Alto it is not sending the request. Okay, so go to into authentication profile. Let me just see server radius, that is correct. Retrieve users and group from radius. Let me commit my changes once again.